Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest developments in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sani.
So can you tell us about the production base that is for South Africa's high-flying platinum group metals that is still constrained with no quick ounces to fill the gap?
Yes, we've got a climate change situation in South Africa. To fight climate change, we use platinum group metals, because they can stop pollution in the biggest cities. They've been doing this for a long time. You put them in the car exhausts and they make sure that, you don't emit from exhaust fumes pollution. But what's happening is that there have been serious disruptions over a period of time. Mining is a long-term game. And one of the things that hit us was the 2014 strike. It was a prolonged strike. And you had uncertainty. People were starting to move off platinum group metals because they started going into battery electric vehicles. So the platinum group metals industry stopped investing. If you take 1 ounce out of the ground of platinum, you should be putting another one back through exploration, finding something new. What happens is that when there's disruptions in the industry, that doesn't happen. The actual stay in business, capital expenditure, money spent, doesn't happen. So you have a situation where you fall behind. Your supply is below your demand. And this is what's happened with palladium and rhodium through technological changes as well. People going for different types of petrol cars rather than diesel cars. And so there's been huge demand, not enough supply. Now, this used to be a very worrying situation because before climate change, if you had a spike in your price, the scientists would start working, what can we use that's different to this? We'll go into something else. So it was always dangerous. These days, it's not as dangerous because around the world, cities and city managers are laying down standards. You're not allowed to emit more exhaust fumes than this level, and they keep on increasing it. China is on China 6. They're going into China 6, Euro 4, what they call it. It's regulations that stop you from emitting. So that has actually saved the industry, and that demand has continued, irrespective of what the price is. People don't worry about another $40 or $50 on a car that might go to palladium or rhodium. They just want to obey the law. And so that is a big thing. So we are behind. We need to catch up with investment to make sure that, every ounce you take out of the ground, you make sure you've got another ounce. You've found it somewhere and you're ready to produce, and that's what isn't happening.
Okay. And now Platinum Group Metals mining and marketing company Anglo American Platinum has also suffered a double processing setback. Tell us about that.
Yeah, can you imagine this? You've got a wonderful processing plant, you're putting through platinum group metals and it's going like a Boeing, but all of a sudden there's an explosion. But because, business is very careful, cautious, they think ahead, they have another plant ready. That's typical of Anglo American. This one, there's an explosion. We'll just move everything over to this one. So they don't even announce on February 10th that there's been an explosion because it's not really serious. You move to another plant. But now they move across to this other processing plant, and what happens? They find there's going to be another explosion because there's water in the furnaces. So they have to stop that. Now there's a major setback. They've got to close. They're talking about 80 days of closure for the existing plant that they were trying to work on. And that's, more than 2 months. So you've got to make sure that other people who are using your plant can go elsewhere. And this is a problem because I think too many people started going through the same plants, too many companies. So you've got Anglo American with Anglo American Platinum. It's got a nice processing plant. Other people say, okay, we'll toll treat. It's called toll treating, like you go through a road toll. You bring your material and they will treat it for you and they will charge you and then they will put it through their refining process. So, when you narrow down like that, it can be dangerous, particularly we see now after an explosion. So a company like Sibanye-Stillwater, they were acquirers of a lot of the mines that were owned by Anglo American Platinum, so they automatically thought, well, they'll go through that route. Now all of a sudden they're having to say, no. We've got to resuscitate what we have got with Lonmin Platinum, because they bought Lonmin Platinum, so they will have to divert their material through this plant that's in Lonmin, revive that, bring it out of care and maintenance, and also then revive their refinery, because they luckily have a refinery in Brakpan. Get that going again. So that has saved the day. But one wonders what is going to happen to those companies that don't have, that opportunity to revive their own assets. And one thinks there of, Royal Bafokeng Platinum. And I'm sure we will now hear soon what is going to happen there, because they have to get their material processed. And I'm sure they'll find a way, as well as all the others who use the facilities of Anglo American Platinum, which are now out of action. And the big plant that stopped will only be ready like next year sometime. And this one, they're saying 80 days. Hopefully they'll just work flat out and get it up sooner. That's a good one.
Yeah. And lastly, talk us through the growth in the adoption of fuel cell electric vehicles in China.
You see, fuel cells are a wonderful thing, because now you've got platinum being used in autocatalysis. That means your exhaust pipe. Now, we don't see it in South Africa, but all the cars around the world, they've got these platinum catalysts in their exhaust pipe. So you don't destroy Mother Nature's earth. You make sure, and people are getting, as I said, tighter and tighter with that. So, but what do you do in the future? Because along come people and they're saying, don't use petrol-driven car, don't use a diesel-driven car. It's going to affect climate change. Use a battery electric vehicle. So then you suddenly see battery electric vehicles coming in. If people use battery electric vehicles, what's going to happen to platinum going into the exhaust? So they start losing that market. Fortunately, it's been a bit slow. And what the platinum industry is thinking about is further on the line, into the future. So, you'll probably have the petrol, diesel engines continuing, and what they want to come in with early is the hydrogen fuel cell. So instead of having your normal engine in your car, you've now got an electric car, but it needs hydrogen to come through it, and then it gives you electricity, and you can drive. But to do that, those fuel cells need platinum. So it's again a market for this. And people saying, when they go now into China, they're going to Shanghai, all they see are buses that are fuel cell electric vehicle buses, trucks, they're all hydrogen fuel cells. So this is a good sign that the industry is being disrupted, but already people are seeing that the value of hydrogen fuel cells for bigger vehicles, already they're seeing it. Buses, trucks, trams, not planes, but ships. They're starting to say, in climate change demands that we've got to have electrical, let's start moving over to hydrogen fuel cells and let that be clean. And people are saying, when you go there, you just see these trucks coming down, they're all hydrogen fuel cells, and what they want clean hydrogen. So you put up your solar panels and you get your wind turbines going, you generate electricity, and you take it through seawater or dirty water that's been used, and you get hydrogen, clean hydrogen. And then you can store that hydrogen like you store oil, and you start using it for trucks and trains and buses, and as you can see happening in China. And that is good for South Africa's mining industry, good for the platinum industry.
Wow. Thanks for chatting to us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sani.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. Don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.